Hello and welcome to another episode. I am Brian, the Unskilled Commander. Got a brand new matchup for gameplay for you. I'm excited about this matchup. It's four brand new decks, mostly built from what I had. A few of the decks I did actually purchase cards for because the way they're designed, I didn't have the particular cards, but there wasn't too much money. I didn't spend like hundreds or something. As we've tried the last batch, we're trying again. We're going to jump right in. We're starting with turn 6 this time. However, as you can see, quite a bit has happened in the first 5 turns, which kind of negates the fact that I was trying to skip over that to speed things up. So I'm still going to have to go through real fast what everything is, and we even have all 4 commanders out already. I will bring up the commanders. I'm not going to bring up every other card, but I'll read them off and explain them real quick. So we are starting over here with a blue-red Spellslinger deck, which I've never really done before, so we're going to experiment with this and see how it works. So for Mizzet, so far we have Electrostatic Field, which is a 0/4 defender that says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Really awesome. Crackling Drake, which is a asterisk 4 flyer, and its power is equal to the number of sorcery and instant cards you own in exile and your graveyard. And when it enters the battlefield, I drew a card. Mizzix is a 2/2, but whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell with converted mana cost greater than the number of experience counters you have, you get an experience counter. And instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each experience counter. So far, all we played was an opt, so we have 1 experience counter, which means our instant and sorcery spells are going to cost 1 less. And every time we do so, Electrostatic Field is going to ping everybody. There's a bunch of cards in the deck that do similar things to this, so you can see where it's like, get a bunch of those creatures out, just play a whole bunch of spells that don't even have to target anybody. They're just draws or draw spells or whatever, and deal damage that way. So this is turn 6. We're going to untap, upkeep, draw for turn. I'm going to, because they cost 1 less, I'm going to tap 2 mana to play the sorcery Eyes of Gitaxias. It says incubate 3, and I draw a card. So first of all, I'm casting a sorcery. Each opponent is going to take 1 damage. And everybody, check this out. They listened to complaints. The life totals are finally bigger. You can kind of see them now. And this is pretty much the size they always were. They could stand to be bigger. Honestly, there's still room. They should be bigger, but I'm so very pleased that they've made it this way, because at least you should be able to pretty much see the life totals versus the last few games where you couldn't. They were just like a little blur. You couldn't see anything. But everyone took a damage, so we are going to incubate 3, which that means you can put 3 counters on a token, and it has pay 2, transform this artifact into a 0/0 Phyrexian artifact creature. So we're just gonna make this a 3/3 artifact creature, because I'm gonna go ahead and pay the 2, incubate it. I draw a card, but also I have 1 experience counter. That sorcery costs me 2, so I get another experience counter. So there is a limit to this, because unless you have a couple decent instant sorceries that are really high value, once you hit like 3 or 4 experience counters, they're really not going to go up much, because most normal instant sorceries are 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 mana. But that's fine, because that's going to take off all the generic mana, and you just have to worry about the color. Alright, and now, because we have 2 instants or sorceries in the graveyard, Crackling Drake is a 2/4 flyer. No one else has any flyers, so we could attack with that. And I think we probably should. We're going to go ahead and send this. Oh, actually, you are gaining quite a bit of life. So we're going to send the 2 in the air, and I'll get to why when I come around to that turn. That's everything we can do here. We have 1 mana open. Nothing I really want to do with 1 mana. We're going to go ahead and pass turn. Now, over here, this is going to be the interesting. We're going to untap, upkeep, draw. This is Obeka, Splinter of Seconds. A 2/5 with Menace. Whenever Obeka deals combat damage to a player, you get that many additional upkeep steps after this phase. This is a brand new one from, most of these are, these 2 are brand new from Outlaw Junction. That is just, I picked that because I had those commanders in blue and red, and I decided what to do, and then that I was playing on Arena, and I'll explain that a little bit more when I get to there. Anyway, Obeka is a very popular one because it's all about making a ton of upkeep triggers and then playing a bunch of spells that do something cool for you on upkeep. It's going to be interesting. I'm pretty sure the real deck, like other people's, are pretty powerful, because if you can get her through, it's easy to get a whole bunch of upkeep triggers and then just go crazy. Hopefully this is going to be a good deck. I'm also a little concerned because there's not a ton. I went through pretty much every single card that had an upkeep trigger. Most of them hurt you. They're almost always in black, or I think some of them were in like white or green, and it's like, oh, at your upkeep, pay 4 life or sacrifice this creature. Or at your upkeep, this deals 1 damage to you, but it's a 6/6 or something. It's like, well, I don't want those. So there's not a ton of upkeep trigger cards that are beneficial for you in these 3 colors, so I'm kind of worried that the deck's pretty much just going to be a carbon copy of everybody else's deck, so we'll see. I loved the idea when I saw it spoiled. I got the foil full art when I opened the pack, so I'm like, yes, I want to build it, but I'm still not sure if she's going to last as a deck. We'll see. Obviously, I got Obeka out. I also have Dragon Master Outcast, which is a 1/1, but at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 6 or more lands, make a 5/5 red dragon. You can see how crazy that would get really good. I have a Bonder's Ornament, and I have 2 rings that are really important. Replicator Ring is an artifact that taps for 1 mana of any color, but at the beginning of your upkeep, which we just hit, so I will tick that up, you put a night counter on it. Then, if it has 8 or more night counters on it, remove all of them and create 8 colorless snow artifact tokens named Replicator Ring with tap and add 1 mana of any color. So they don't have the same ability once you make them, but you're going to make 8 more. So that's like, you get, with this deck, you're going to make a bunch of mana rocks that all tap for any color really fast, which allows you to play a whole ton of other spells really fast. So hopefully that's cool. Then we've got the Ring of Xandred equipment that you one to equip it onto a creature, and you can pay 2 and you can regenerate equipped creatures. So that's good if someone tries to blow her up. You can just pay 2 and regenerate her. But more importantly, at the beginning of your upkeep, put a +1/+1 counter on equipped creature if it's black. She is a black, blue, red. So what are we going to do? We drew for our turn already. Oh wow, that's a super good card. Well, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, did I want to do that one first? No, actually, sorry. I want to do 1, 2, and 3 to play the enchantment Verification. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose 1 target creature you control gets +2/+0, or target creature you control gains menace and haste until end of turn. I'm going to tap the Replicator Ring for 1 to equip the other ring onto Obeka. So now it doesn't give her any kind of buff just yet, but that's what the verification's for. I have 2 mana open. I'm then going to move to combat. Beginning of combat, I'm going to give her +2/+0 until end of turn, and because she has menace, I'm going to go ahead and swing her at you. You don't have enough creatures to block, so you're going to take 4 commander damage, and you already took 2 from her, so that's 6 commander damage from you. We just hit for 4 damage. She says when it deals damage to a player, you get that many additional upkeep. So we now, immediately after combat, we get 4 more upkeep triggers. Now we only have the ring out right now, so that's going to go up to 7, 4/3. So on our next turn, this will crack and we'll automatically get a whole bunch of rings, which is going to be awesome. And because at the beginning of your upkeep, put a +1/+1 counter on said equipped creature, now she gets 4 counters. She is a 6/6, well, a 6/7, and we can put this on from Fornication. That would mean 8 damage, which would mean 8 upkeep triggers. You can see how it just immediately, if you get the right upkeep-based cards out quickly and get her through, it goes insane. But that's all we can do. We don't have enough lands, and we didn't draw one, unfortunately, so we're not going to get the Dragon Master Outcast for a while. We need 2 more lands just to get that to start triggering, and then we missed a land drop. So we're going to pass, and we're going to come over here, untap, upkeep, draw for turn, and this is Vihan Goldwaker. He is a 3/3. Other outlaws you control have vigilance and haste. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have treasures you control become a 3/3 construct artifact creature in addition to their other types until end of turn. So the idea of him is to just make a ton of treasures. He gives other outlaws vigilance and haste. When you go to the beginning of your combat, all your treasures become outlaws, so they gain haste and vigilance. You can swing a whole bunch of 3/3s in, and then hopefully there's some buffs in here that will make your creatures like 4/4s and 5/5s, and then you get a nice little army, because making treasures is relatively easy. We'll see just how easy it is, though. I'm going to play Shadowblood Ridge for the land for turn, and I will put these together because you pay 1 and tap this to make black and red. We'll just put this mountain here so that now this is black and red. Going to tap that for black and red. 1 more to play Zorn, a 3/2. If you would create 1 or more treasure tokens, instead create those treasure tokens plus an additional treasure token. The problem being I'm not actually getting anything that makes treasure tokens right now. That's kind of the unfortunate part. But we're going to tap 1, 2, 3, 4 and play Mirkwood Bats, a 2/3 flyer. Whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses a life. So if I could just get some stuff that makes some treasures, this could go off and be pretty cool. But that's all we can do here. We're going to pass turn. And over here, we untap, upkeep, draw to our final new deck, Bard Argivian Recruiter. It's a 2/2. At the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature with power greater than its base power, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. We also have some really good enchantments on the field. We've got Johnny's Welcome. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life. Nahiri's Resolve. Creatures you control get +1/+0 and have haste. And at the beginning of your end step, exile any number of non-token artifacts and or creatures. Return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of your next upkeep. So we didn't draw a land, unfortunately, so we still only have 5 mana to work with. So I think we're going to go tap for a white, another white, and one more to play Glorious Anthem. Let's try and get these enchantments over somewhere where they can be seen. Glorious Anthem plus creatures get +1/+1. So we also have a Hex Gold Hailbird out. It's an equipment that says for Mirrodin, so when you cast it, make a 2/2 Rebel and equip it to it. And as long as it's my turn, the equipped creature has first strike and trample. So that's why it's a 2/2 with first strike and trample only on my turn. This was a 1/1 soldier because of the static buff of Nahiri's Resolve it triggered his ability on the end step of last turn. Now, all of my creatures are getting +1/+1. So the fun thing is that just means these buffs are here to ensure that Baird is always going to pop out a little 1/1 soldier at your end step. So right now, this is a 3/2 soldier token. This is a 4-something, and he's a 4-something, which is great, but they're really not going to get through. So I believe we're going to have to move to our end step. However, by doing so, that will trigger Bard, will make another soldier. Creature enters the battlefield, I do gain a life. Then Nahiri's thing says, because it's at the beginning of your end step, also at the beginning of my end step, you may exile any number of non-token artifacts or creatures, and then return them to the battlefield under their owner's control. Now I like that because we can trigger that a whole bunch if we got some other creatures out and keep gaining life off of Ajani's Welcome. However, of course, it's until my next upkeep, so if I remove the creatures, I would be vulnerable. And I can bounce this if I want to, so it would come back untapped, but it won't be until my upkeep, so it'll just be untapped anyway. So we're not going to bounce anything right now. We're just going to move through end step, past turn. Now on turn 7, untap, upkeep, draw for turn. Not a land. So I'm going to go ahead and tap 1, 2, 3, 4 to cast Talrand Sky Summon. It's a 2/2. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 2/2 blue Drake with flying. Now you see the way I built this deck is I put a lot of those kind of creatures in. So it's creatures that either deal damage to opponents when you cast an instant sorcery like Electrostatic Field, or creatures or enchantments and stuff that say when you cast an instant sorcery, make some sort of token creature. So the idea is make them cheap off of Mizzix's ability, cast a whole bunch of instants and sorceries, make a whole bunch of tokens, and ping people, and now you've got a pretty good board state. I don't like what people are doing, so we're going to tap blue, and we're going to cast Unsummon. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Now the question is, who are we going to do that to? Bard is making tokens, and those tokens are 3/2s right now, and they could get bigger. Bat's going to be pinging us when it makes things, but I think obviously Obeka is the biggest threat, really. So we're going to bounce that to, so first of all, on cast, everyone's going to take a damage, and then we're going to make a 2/2 Flying Drake. And we're going to bounce Obeka back to your hand. So if those counters come off, this goes back to the field. I don't have any more mana. This has Summoning Sickness, and so does this. That's a defender, but now this is a little bit bigger. It's now a 3/4, so we could swing that somewhere. You still don't have flyers, and you've been gaining life. So again, I think we're going to go at you. 1, 2, 3. We did cast a spell, however, or instant sorcery. However, it was a mana cost of 1. The experience counters are 2, so it does not go up. It has to be higher than the number of experience counters we have. We will then pass turn. And so untap, upkeep. Upkeep trigger, we put the 8 counter on here. Boom, we remove it. And then we're going to create rings. My extremely good ×8 ring tap for color. Here's the interesting part. Replicator ring, the original, doesn't say we can't do it again. It doesn't say, like at the beginning of your upkeep, put a night counter on replicating. Then, if it has 8 or more night counters on it, remove all of them and create 8 colorless snow artifact tokens named replicator ring with tap, add 1 mana of any color. It doesn't say sacrifice this one, and it doesn't say you can only do it once, so we can just start putting more counters on them. Holy crap, we could make a friggin' army of replicator rings for all the mana in the world. We did not draw yet, so I draw a card for turn. Okay, and the nice thing is that did bounce into my hand, so there's no commander attacks. So heck yeah, we're going to tap all 8 replicator rings, 4 of them to recast Obeka, and another 4, here it comes, for Thopter Spy Network. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control an artifact, we do, a whole bunch, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Whenever 1 or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Oh, sorry, I thought that was, my bad. I was thinking that was Thopter Assembly, or no, Mechanized Production. I was thinking it was Mechanized Production, which has a win con on it. Anyway, still cool, because you can make a bunch of 1/1. And when artifact creature deals damage damage, you draw a card. Still important to play, still good. I will tap 1 to equip the ring back onto Obeka again. Then I'll tap another 3 to play an Arcane Signet. We got all the mana rocks going. And the best part is, well, see, here's the problem. The Verification triggers like, oh, we could give Obeka haste and swing in again. It's not going to get through anywhere now because everyone's got multiple creatures to block with. So there's your problem. Even with Menace, she's not going to get through, which means it's not going to trigger, like next upkeep, we'll start putting counters on it regardless, but it's going to have to get a lot bigger. And we still haven't drawn a land, so we're not even getting close to the Dragon Master Outcast. So while you can tell this is powerful, if it doesn't get the right cards quick enough, it can be dealt with quite easily. Still, I loved getting the Replicator Ring to go off. That was pretty sweet. There really isn't anything else we can do right now, so we're going to go ahead and pass. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. I'll tap Mountain for a Soul Ring I just drew. I'm going to tap 2 white and then 1, 2, 3 to play Norn's Annex. Creatures can't attack me unless they pay a Phyrexian white for each creature attacking, which means either they pay 1 white mana or 2 life. They can do it. These two cannot, so they'd have to pay life if they wanted to attack. I still have 3 mana up. Oh, I also did not play a land for turn, so I will play Mortuary Mire. Comes in tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you may put a target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. I don't have one. And unfortunately, I don't really have too much. So, okay, I will tap for black to play Cremate, exile target card from a graveyard, draw a card, and I'll just exile that just to do it, because I really just wanted the card draw. And unfortunately, it wasn't anything super helpful. I have not made any kind of tokens of any kind, but I do have a 2/3 flyer, but I think we want to keep that up for right now. Well, no, we're pretty low. No one theoretically, since we're not making treasures and they have the lowest life, I don't think they would worry about sending their flyer at us. So I'm going to send Mirkwood Bats at you for 2 damage. And then we're going to pass turn. Going to untap, upkeep, draw. We're going to go ahead and tap 4 and play Nayali Sun's Vanguard. It's a 3/3. Attacking tokens you control have double strike. Pretty impressive. Whenever 1 or more tokens you control attack a player, exile the top card of your library. During any turn you attacked with a token, you may play that card. Creature came in, so I'm going to gain a life. So now these are, there are 1, 2, 3 twos, but they will hit for 6. And this will hit for 1, 2, 3, 4. So this would hit for 8. But there's only 3 of them. I still don't want to go swinging in. There's really, I'm just going to lose creatures and leave myself open. So we will move to our end step. However, that will trigger Baird. We'll make another one, and we'll gain another life. You can see how this deck is actually pretty fun. And there's a bunch of stuff in here to make tokens, make soldier tokens, and have token doublers. So it just needs to get going. But I don't have any card draw in hand right now, unfortunately. We will go ahead and pass. Here, we're going to go to turn 8. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. Cool. Mountain, I'll play it. We're going to tap 1, 2, 3 and play the creature Hati Jin. It's a asterisk 4 flyer. Jin's power is equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard, and instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. So now my instant and sorceries cost 3 less to cast, and he is also that got exiled, so actually it's back down. So he's a 2/4, and this is a 2/4. I have 3 mana I can play something with. I do have I have 2 instances, 2 sorceries rather, but they're not beneficial to play right now as they stand. So unfortunately, we're kind of at a slow point in the game. We're going to have to pass, see what Obeka can do to speed things up. We're going to untap, upkeep, yeah, put a counter on that, and put a counter on this. At the beginning of your upkeep, I do control a artifact, so we're going to make a 1/1 Thopter, and then we draw a card for turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to play Venzener's Journal. It's an artifact. You have no maximum hand size, which is nice, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 1 life for each card in your hand. I'm then we'll tap 6 of the 8 Replicator Rings to play 3 steps ahead, only choosing 2 of the 3 things. So it's 1 blue, and then you can pay Spree, which each additional thing you want to do. Unfortunately, it's kind of weird. You have to play 1 blue no matter what, and then if you just played 1 blue, it would just fizzle. Nothing would happen. You still have to pay for the additional steps. We're not going to counter a spell because there's no spells to counter. We're going to pay 3 to create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature you control, and then pay another 2 to draw 2 cards, then discard a card. I will discard the land because we got plenty of mana, and I'm going to make a copy of Dragon Master. Oh, I should have kept the land, huh? That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. We should keep the land. I will get rid of Orcish Medicine, but I'm going to make a copy of Dragon Master Outcast. Then I'll play a land for turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we need 6. So hopefully, I still have 2 rings available. So 2, 3, 4 mana. Darn. just shy of, or no, 5 right there. Okay, so yes, we're going to tap the land, use the last 2 rings, and tap these 2 for 5 mana to play the enchantment Patient Rebuilding. At the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent puts the top 3 cards of their library into the graveyard, then I draw a card for each land put into the graveyard this way. Here, let's go ahead and put these 2 Dragon Masters together. The idea is basically so that if someone wants to blow up, they probably would have blown up Obeka and Dragon Master by now, but if they hadn't, now they have to get rid of 2 of them to stop me from making 5/5 dragons. Just an extra target on the field to take away from possibly Obeka. So she is currently a 3/6 with Menace, and she could be higher. We're going to move to combat, swing the Thopter. Oh wait, did that just make that? Shoot, that Thopter probably has Summoning Sickness. But, ho-ho, target creature gains Menace and Haste. So we will give that to the Thopter, one way or the other. Their flyer's down, we're swinging over at you. You're going to take 1 damage, that's it. But we're going to draw a card, not a land, but something even better for Obeka for next turn. That's all we can do. We're going to go ahead and pass and see and just hope to heck we can get around to the next turn. So we untap over here, upkeep, draw, play a Plains. They got the land. Oh, that's right, that's right. In order to attack you, we had Norn Xanax. You would have had to pay 4 life. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what? We wanted to do it. So that puts us in a risky spot, but go okay. 1, 2, let's do better. 1, 2, 3 to play a Worn Power Stone that comes in tapped. See, I'm already seeing, like, this is just the first time I've really tested this deck, so we'll have to see what all 3 matches do, but I'm worried that this is I'm gonna have to retool this to get more card draw, because I need to get to those things that make treasures. And no, I don't have a Dockside Extortionist in here, because those cards are too expensive. Yeah, I think we're gonna leave the flyer up this time, and we're gonna go ahead and pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. We'll play a Sunbaked Canyon that we can tap, pay a life, and make a red or a white. Darn, we have a really good card in hand, but it actually would help Becca. Now, we don't know that. There's a card in Becca's hand that's going to allow her to get through wherever she wants next turn. We don't know that, however. Right now, what we're seeing is that everyone has enough to stop her from getting through. And this card would benefit us a great deal, but we don't have Trample. I'm going to go ahead and we'll play it safe right now. We're going to tap 1, 2, 3, 4 to play the equipment Full Shock Splitter. It's another 4 Mirrodin, so we will make another 2/2 Rebel. So when that creature comes in, we gain a life. And the equipped creature gets +2/+0, so it's a 4/2. Oh, I almost forgot that. So when Diamond City, the land, entered, it came in with a shield counter. And I can tap it to move the shield counter onto a target creature, but I can only do that if 2 or more creatures enter the battlefield under my control this turn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to my end step, beginning of my end step. Our Bard's going to make another soldier. That means 2 creatures have come in. I'm going to tap it and move that to Bard, giving him an indestructible shield counter. Should have done that quite a long time ago. I just forgot. Or I didn't even stop and realize what Diamond City. But there we go. That was, of course, end step, so I can't do anything else. But we're pretty well poised. Let's get the buffs together and make it a little more intelligent. So now we've got 4 3/2s with double strike when they're attacking. And then we can exile a card and play it for as long as they attack or whenever they attack. So I think with the card in my hand, next turn might be a good time to start swinging with this side. So we pass turn. Turn 9, we're going to untap, upkeep, draw. I will tap 3 mana to play Forger's Foundry. It's an artifact that says tap it for blue mana, 1 blue mana. When you spend this mana to cast an instant sorcery that has a mana value of 3 or less, you may exile it instead of putting it into your graveyard. Then you can pay 5 mana and tap it. You may cast any number of spells from among the cards exiled with Forger's Foundry without paying their mana cost. You can only do that as a sorcery spell. Pretty cool. We're going to tap this for red to play Vandal Blast, just normally, but we're going to blow up target artifact you don't control. I say we blow up this ring, because this is going to get her really powerful. So we blow that up. Cast Vandal Blast. Electrostatic Field is going to deal 1 damage to each opponent, and we're going to make another Flying Drake off of Talrand. Then it blew up the thing. Then I'm going to tap a red and tap Forger's Foundry to play Grape Shot with a storm count of 3. So Grape Shot deals 1 damage to any target, but when you cast a spell with Storm, copy it for each spell cast before it this turn. You may choose new targets for the copies. But because I used this to play it and it's less than 3 mana, I get to exile it. I will just exile it under the Foundry so we know what's what. Oh, wait a second. We wouldn't actually be able to do that because instant sorceries cost 2 less, so we only needed the red to do that. Okay, well, that actually worked against us a little bit, but that's... So anyway, we're still going to do 3. We're casting. Electrostatic kicks in. Each opponent takes a damage. We make another flyer. Grape Shot's going to deal 3 damage to some... Yeah, we're going to do 1, 2, right? That makes sense. Bam, bam. And then is there anything else that's a 1 we can take out? Unfortunately, no, except for their Thopter, but they'll just make another one. So we'll just deal 1 to your face because you still have the highest life. Royal we don't like that. Okay, so 2 of these 3 flyers have summoning sickness, so I think we'll hold off on that. Let's move this around to be a little more intelligent because we're not going to attack with Electrostatic Field. It's a defender. Probably not going to attack with Mizzet ever, really, anyway. And this little, basically the flyers and this artifact creature can go up front. They're going to be the line of attacking. But that's all we can really do back here. We're going to pass. Now, taking that ring off of Obeka does hurt because that was going to be able to bump her up pretty good. So we're going to untap. We're going to move to our upkeep. Upkeep trigger, that gets a counter. 1, 2, 3. Well, it doesn't matter because they got rid of those. Upkeep trigger, we're going to make another, we'll just say this is another Thopter. I'm going to gain 1 life for each card in my hand, which is 2. At the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent puts the top 3 cards of the library into their graveyard. Let's see. You, I guess, right? Yeah. Let's get rid of your instants and sorceries. 1 land, 2. Okay, so I needed to keep track of the lands because Patient Rebuilding says I draw a card for each land put in the graveyard this way. So I draw 1 card. Cool. That was upkeep, and then I go to my draw step and I draw a card for turn. Both of mine were lands, unfortunately. And now I don't have Dragon Master Outcast. Oops, these are untapped. So I'll play this mountain for turn. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap 2, play Prowler's Helm, and then pay 2 to equip it to Obeka, which Prowler's Helm says, equipped creature can't be blocked except by walls. We're going to move to the beginning of combat. I'm going to trigger Pharaohification and give Obeka +2/+0. So now she is a 4/5 that can't be blocked except by walls. Electrostatic Field is in fact a wall, so it could block it, but we're obviously not going to swing there. You're doing quite a bit of stuff, and you've got some things, so we're going to start changing things up a bit. We're going to swing at you. So you're going to take 4 commander, but that's going to trigger 4 more upkeeps immediately after that combat phase. So we are going to then get 4 more 1/1 Thopters, 4 more counters on the ring, taking it up to 6, 4 more instances of life gain of 2, so that means we're going to gain 8 life, and someone's going to mill the top 3 cards 4 times. 2, 3, 4. So you'll do it twice and everybody else will do it once. Gotta keep track of lands. Just 2. So we draw 2 more cards, 1 and 2. Another freaking land, but we did tap a black and 1 other to play Creeping Bloodsucker. At the beginning of your upkeep, Creeping Bloodsucker deals 1 damage to each opponent. You gain a life for the damage dealt this way. Hot dang. I am going to tap 4 of the rings to tap Bonder's Ornament to draw another card. Nice, nice. All right, that's good. And actually, we can play that. So we're going to use the other 4 rings plus the Arcane Signet to play Court of Ire. When it enters, I become the Monarch. At the beginning of my upkeep, Court of Ire deals 2 damage to any target. If you're the Monarch, it deals 7 damage to that player or permanent instead. Hot dang. We got the gas now, boys and girls. We're going to move to our end step. We're the Monarch, so we draw a card, another land. But that's okay, because now we have cards in hand for life-gaining upkeep. I should have attacked with the Thopter, so I could have drew another card. But I'm already at end step. That's fine. I got excited and being with like, oh, swing with Obeka. You got to remember that stuff. We're going to go ahead and pass. All right, Obeka is shaping up to be the powerhouse we kind of expected. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. I'll play Hidden Necropolis, comes in tapped. Okay, nobody attacked him. There's not much we can do. Definitely going to have to keep aware of whether or not this needs more card draw. I thought, because I built it with what I had, I was running out of card draw in red and black, and white, really. So that could be a detriment to it. I'll have to reevaluate. But it could just be bad shuffle. We'll see what the next 2 games do. That's why we're doing these matchups to, it's not just a one-off, oh, I play my brand new deck against my friends and it loses. Oh, it's garbage. It's like, well, no. You got to try it a couple times, 3 times minimum to see what the average is and what it's doing. We're going to go ahead and pass. I hope everyone out there is having a good time. Appreciate you watching. Please subscribe if you hadn't. Throw some likes around. Check out the other stuff on the channel. Been slowing down on content a little bit. I mean, obviously, I'm good about keeping up the Monday episodes because these are fun to film, at least. They're horrible to edit because they take so long, but these are my favorite. And I've been doing at least 1 short a week because they're simple to do. I kind of got a little burned out. I need a little bit of time to just kind of not worry about stuff for a little bit, and then I'll try and do some more Wednesday content where it's like a deck tech or something like that, maybe a new high octane. It's just like doing that stuff is a little bit more involved, and life is kind of a lot right now, and just focusing on this right now. Hope y'all can understand. So we untapped, we're going to upkeep draw. All right, that's cool. We're going to tap 2 for the creature Impassioned Orator. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life. I will gain a life off of Johnny's Welcome, where I got 4 mana, not enough to do anything crazy. Let's put some pressure on Obeka. These 6 creatures are tokens, which means they're going to get double strike. Now, they don't have trample or anything. That's the problem. So we got 4 here. We're going to block 4 and 5. Boom. Thopters are done. Nothing gets through. This 2, 3, 4 gets through for 8 damage. Not bad. And 1 or more tokens you control attack a player. Exile a top card of your library. It's a Keeper of the Accord, which is 4 mana. You can play that during any turn you attack, which I just did, so we might as well go ahead, right? Tap all 4 to play Keeper of the Accord, so now we're going to gain 2 life because a creature entered the battlefield. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more creatures than you, make a soldier. And at the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more lands than you, search for a basic plains and put it in the battlefield. I don't think that's going to help. Oh, actually it will. We'll get a bunch of lands out of the deck. That's actually really good. Creatures, however, I don't think we're not going to get any soldiers out of it. So we're going to move to our end step, but we are going to make a soldier, which means we're going to gain 2 life. All right, you can see how this deck is decent. The synergy's there. It just needs to be a little faster and make the creatures a little bigger to be dangerous. So we're going to pass. Untap, upkeep, draw to turn 10. We'll play Vivid Crag, comes in tapped with 2 charge counters on it. You can remove a charge counter to, I believe, make 1 mana of any color. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. Mana is necessary, but unfortunately it came in tapped, so I can't play the card in my hand that's been sitting there forever. And I don't have any more. I have 1 card in hand, so I have nothing I can cast. I have flyers that I could attack Obeka with. Probably not a horrible idea, but that's pretty dangerous too. So we don't want to just ignore soldiers. Soldiers don't have flyers right now. So this is 3 2/2s. That would be 6 damage. And then, oh, I milled a whole bunch. Oh yeah, thanks for milling me, boyo, because now my creatures are 8 somethings in the air. 8 4s. You done messed up, Aaron. Now that makes sense. So we are absolutely going to move to combat, swing both of these flyers at you for 16 damage in the air, and I think we're going to go ahead and send these 3 in the air at you for 6. You got no flyers, you can't stop it. Can't stop, won't stop. And we got a bunch of blockers on the ground for when soldiers tries to crack back. So that was a pretty solid move. Thanks. Good thing I remembered what those 2 creatures do. So the milling actually was a double-edged sword. But we didn't do anything else. We didn't cast anything. There's no end step trigger, so we're going to move to end step, pass turn. So, okay, the Spell Slinger's deck's not doing too bad. It's not slinging so many spells, but it's doing some stuff. So we're going to untap, upkeep triggers are going to happen. Now we did get, that's true, you actually draw a card because you're now the Monarch. And I have a Monarch token, hang on, we draw a card. But it was at end step, so it wouldn't have really done too much. And it is an instant, but we could have cast it, I guess. It wouldn't be, we'll worry, it's okay, it's fine. I don't think it's going to be a game-changing move if I don't cast that. However, we're still doing upkeep triggers. So at the beginning of my upkeep, deals 2 damage to any target. Going to deal 2 damage to you, just directly. This is going to make the Thopter again. At the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent puts the top 3 cards of your library into the graveyard. Well, we're not going to do you again, so we're going to do over here. No lands. Unfortunate. Then I draw for turn at least. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Has to be red and or blue. Well, red and blue. For Dominus Fealty. A flying 4/4, so at least we have something in the air. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may gain control of target permanent until end of turn. If you do, untap it and it gains haste until end. This almost came out of the deck because I didn't realize that the first time I started working on the deck, I thought it was like, oh, you get extra upkeeps next turn. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. You can, like, it'll trigger, you gain a bunch of stuff on your next upkeep or your next turn, and you can swing with it. It's not how it works. She says you get that many additional upkeep steps after this phase, which of course is combat. So I can gain control of everybody's creatures, but it doesn't matter because combat's already over. But I left it in because it would be interesting to gain control of other people's non-creature stuff. Because what if I don't have Replicator Ring out, right? I can take your Worn Power Stone and your Soul Ring and your Commander Sphere. They untap, so I can tap them for mana to play something on my second main phase if I'm using up all my own mana. Or if there's an enchantment or something that benefits in some way on an end step, we could steal it real quick, gain the benefit, and give it back. Or if someone plays one of the altars, Altar of the Brood or Phyrexian Altar or whatever, you steal that, then you steal everybody's creatures and you sack them all to the altar, give the altar back at your end step, and now no one has their creatures. So there's still potential for it to be useful. So I'm going to go to my combat phase. I'm going to give Obeka +2/+0. She can't be blocked by anything except for the stupid electrostatic field. So I would like to swing in on you, but I can't. So we will swing in on the soldiers for 4. Well, I guess that is commander damage. And now, oops, wait a second. 1 damage to each opponent. Oh, I missed some. Okay, so hang on. Sorry. I missed this upkeep trigger. So each of you is going to take a damage, and I'm going to gain 3 off of it. And then I gain 1 life for each card in my hand, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I would have drawn the Dominus played all that stuff. Hit for 4. Now, all of my upkeep triggers, again, 4 times with feeling. So I'm going to gain 4 times 4. I'm going to gain 16 life. Oh gosh, wasn't that what you hit me for? You son of a bitch. Then I'm going to gain 4 more Thopters. So we're up to 5 total. Again, I'm going to deal 4 damage to each opponent and gain 16 again, because it's you gain life equal to the damage dealt this way. Wow, up to 54 life. Hells yeah. That was the Thopters. And then I'm going to have 4 instances of someone milling 3 cards, and I get to draw a card off of each land. Surprisingly, not very many, but 4 lands off of those cards, so I draw 4. That's still pretty darn good. Wow, I'm drawing a ton of lands. Heck yeah, we're going to tap a black and 1 other. Oh, wait, sorry. Hang on, let's dial it back for a second. I also got another 4 counters onto this, so we would remove that and then make another 8. So now we have 16 replicator rings, which is freaking insane. And it does happen, it's an upkeep and upkeep. So that would have, the first upkeep would have hit 8, removed them, made it, and then we would have put another 3 upkeeps on after that. So holy crap. I will tap 2 mana and play Tithing Blade. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a creature. How do you like them apples? Well, we'll sacrifice this because we ain't making no stupid freaking treasures. We'll just sacrifice one of the drakes, and you'll sacrifice one of the... I mean, against token decks, it's not really that big a deal. But now, exile this artifact, and exile a creature you control or a creature card from your graveyard. Booyah. And return it transformed, do it only as a sorcery. Well, that's 5, so we will totally do that. But we're going to exile this. We're going to exile Dragon Master Outcast from the graveyard and then pay 5 to return this to the battlefield. Transform. It is now an artifact that says, at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Hot dang. Yeah, Obeka is crazy. However, it's a creature and it's very easy to get rid of. Targeted removal, board wipe, getting rid of some of the enchantments. Lots of people I know run enchantment removal. I wouldn't get this far, regrettably. The decks I've been trying to be better about putting some more interactions. I'm just not really doing it right now, and we'll see how the next games go. That is, we're going to use 4 off the 11 down to 7 so we can tap Bonder's Ornament to draw a card. Now, that's pretty good and we have the mana to do it, but it also seems a little complicated for right now. I'll tell you what it is. It's Plarg and Nasari. I think it'd be a lot of fun to play against people, but just playing against myself right now, it's kind of like, man. It's a 5/4 creature. It says, at the beginning of your upkeep, each player exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. An opponent chooses non-land card exiled this way. You may cast up to 2 spells from the other cards without paying their mana cost. And it's an upkeep, so, when she hits for 4, you're doing that 4 times. But you are also exiling cards, so it will hurt you a little bit depending. You could have exiled like all of those or something, and people would be like, yep, you're not playing that, you're not playing that. I get to play I get to play a little soldier thing, or I get to play electrostatic field, which, so it could help, it could benefit, it could be backfire. I think it'd be a lot of fun against people where you can joke around stuff, but right now, we're doing good enough. We don't do all that shenanigans, but I believe that's everything we can do. I don't think I've missed anything. We will then pass turn. Pretty epic turn right there. So we're going to untap over here. Upkeep, draw. We're going to play this Tainted Peaks. We're going to pass. Unfortunately, I have played Bihan once on a stream with some friends. It didn't do very well then too, so I'm going to have to reevaluate the whole deck, I guess. Because just like this, it wasn't getting anything to really make treasures, and I know Red's really good for making treasures, but I guess I just didn't have them, and I can't go spending a ton of money right now. Cards just for a deck that might work or might not. We're going to untap over here. Upkeep, draw, play a Rustvale Bridge, comes in tapped. Did I lose mana somehow? Thought we had enough to cast this thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need that 7. Oh, whoops, we forgot all about this, so hang on. Alright, at the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more lands than you, search for basic planes. 6. So this one, yes. Them, definitely yes. So we get to get 2 basic planes. So that technically would have changed the top deck I just did, unfortunately, which was a land. At this point in the game, we are looking at Obeka probably taking it. So these would be untapped. So we would have enough mana to do this. So I guess we should. And we lost a creature. And only the tokens get double strike. All right, well, what do you got? You've got 1, 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We only have 8 creatures. The only 1 creature we get through. Now, this card that I have in my hand affects everyone, so we could try and make a deal with blue-red and say, hey, look, you got the flyers. You can take them out. I can swing, get rid of their blockers. And even then, it wouldn't even make a difference to swing for the blockers. Because how many flyers do they... See, they only have 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4. They have a block. So 3 3 things we get. What I have is Gisela, Blade of Gold Knight. The whole point is that she basically doubles damage, but she doubles damage for everybody, not just me. So if everybody swung over there, and it's too late for them to swing, yeah, that could do some decent damage. If we had flyers, absolutely, because then we could swing in and then try and politic red-blue to finish the job. But anyway, anybody have more? I'm going to sacrifice Command Sphere to draw a card. Cool. We'll tap 3 for an Arcane Encyclopedia, and then we're going to tap another 3, tap that, and draw a card. Okay. We don't have enough mana to do the draw spell I just drew, so it's a valiant effort, but it didn't pan out. We'll move to our end step, we'll pop out a creature, we'll gain 2 life though, that's something. We will pass turn. Untap onto turn 11, upkeep draw. Oops. Once more, it's not, they have so much mana because of those replicator rings. I have another bounce spell that'll put Obeka back to their hand. Kind of irrelevant, they can totally recast it. We have something that gives haste. We could recast her, re-equip the unblockable thing. She would only hit for 2, but she would get through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, let's do this, because I've been sitting on this for the whole damn time. So we're going to tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to play Oveka Enigma Goliath, a 6/6 flyer with Ward 3. You have to pay 3 life, or Ward 3 and pay 3 life. Whenever I cast a non-creature spell, create X 1/1 red Phyrexian creature tokens, where X is the mana value of that spell. They gained haste until end of turn. Now, interesting enough, because spells, instances, and sorceries cost 2 less, I can do this. So let's go ahead and maximize our turn. We're going to tap for a blue, and we're going to play Repulse, but because of Forger's Foundry, we're actually going to exile this under it. So return target creature to its owner's hand, and I draw a card. So draw a card, just a land, doesn't help. On cast, everyone's going to take a damage. I'm going to make another Flying Drake. I'm going to then make 3 1/1 red Phyrexian tokens with haste, but they're just on the ground, and there's no buffs in this or anything. Oh, right. So that's cool. You can see how this is supposed to make like a pretty decent board state. Now, part of the fact that these are so nice and big is because mill, but even without that, we need more card draw, which we do have. No, I don't have the mana to cast this because I will play the land I drew, but it comes in tapped when it enters the battlefield, deals 1 damage to target opponent. We're definitely going to do it to you, just because, out of spirit, out of spite. Yeah, we're going to return Obeka to your hand. It's not really going to slow you down, but it kind of will. Did all that. We could theoretically return this to their hand and then swing with the flyers to do max damage, which would be 16. There was only 2 of them. One of them has summoning sickness, so it would be 20 damage. Maybe that's what we want to do. Now, this isn't instant, so what we could do is when they're about to go to combat, we could have done it so they couldn't have gotten the upkeep triggers off of Obeka, and that's really the smart way I should have done it, I suppose. Well, if we're going to do that then, or if we're not doing it the right way, let's go ahead and bounce the Dominus back to the hand so that they're wide open. Oveka doesn't have haste, because that would be a nice big 6/6 flyer. So you're going to take 20 damage. Pretty impressive for a Spellslinger deck, I think. You know, I'm pretty sure that's not how most people build a Spellslinger deck. You're not supposed to use combat damage for that, but that's kind of how I wanted to do it, because I had these cards. I'm like, you know, instead of just doing nothing but a bunch of burn spells, why don't I do something where it's like, I have all these cards that say, when you cast it, make a token. Let's make a ton of tokens. Technically, that's up to block, but, oh yes, I forgot. I have the Monarch, so I do get to draw my end step. Nobody hit me, did they? I don't think anybody attacked, did we? That's that. We move to our end step. We draw for the Monarch. Pass turn. All right, we're going to untap over here. Bunch of upkeep triggers. We're going to get that to 4. We're going to gain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 life. Then at the beginning of my upkeep, each opponent loses 1 life and I gain a life. 2 damage to any target. 2 damage to you. Going to make a Thopter, and then mill you for 3 cards. Land, I draw a card, and then I draw a card for turn. I'll play Sulphur Falls, comes in untapped because I do control a island or a mountain. We're going to tap 4, tap Bonder's Ornament to draw a card. Dang it, getting so many lands. That's great for when I gain life off of cards in hand. It's about to happen, but otherwise it's annoying. Oh, that's right. Okay, I want to do that. I have a really cool card in my hand, but unfortunately I tried looking up rules and I couldn't find anything specific that really helped. So I'm going to have to ask you guys to let me know in the comments. I'm probably going to do this wrong, but it's going to be a good learning experience because I need to know before I take this to actual people and friends and don't want to make a fool of myself. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go through it and see. I'm going to walk you through my logic as to what's happening. So we're going to move to combat. I'm going to send all 6 Thopters. Wait, yeah, I haven't attacked yet. These are from last turn. These 6 Thopters at you. Do that combat damage first, okay? And then because an artifact dealt damage, I'm going to draw this card. That's cool, but I can't play it. Now we're going to send Obeka. We're going to, at the beginning of combat, sorry, I'm going to choose the +2/+0. So she is a 4/5, can't be blocked because you don't have any walls. In response to no blockers being declared, I'm going to sacrifice 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the 16 rings, not sacrifice, tap, down to 9 to cast Great Train Heist using all of its abilities. Creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain first strike until end of turn, so now she's a 5/5. And then choose target opponent. Whenever a creature you control deals damage to it, you're going to make a tap treasure token. Kind of irrelevant, but why not? The important thing is pay 3, untap all creatures you control. If it's your combat phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. However, when she connects, now we go to damage, she's going to hit you for 5 commander, and we're going to take 5 more upkeeps. However, I don't know how to order that. Like, does that negate the extra combat step, or does it go straight into the next combat step, then that adds to the upkeeps? Or is it go the upkeeps, then we go to the extra combat, and then more upkeeps? I'm going to assume, just because I don't know enough about the stupid stack and the way these things, it's not really the stack per se, it's just the phases. I just don't understand how this would play out because there's nothing that, the wording is weird. So I'm going to take it as she hits, you take the 5 damage, we now take 5 upkeeps, then extra combat is going to trigger. I don't know if that's right, let me know. Probably wrong. Hopefully, it makes sense. I think I have a couple cards in here. I know I have a couple cards in here that do extra combats. If she doesn't work that way, then I'll have to take those out because they're useless. So we will now do 5 upkeeps. We're going to put 4 more things on here. Maybe I'm doing this wrong too, but that hits 8. We take them off. She still gets the 5th one, or this still gets the 5th one, but we make another 8 things. So we have 24, but technically we don't because we used 9 of them, or we had 9 left. So we're back up to like 7. 5, everyone's going to lose 5 life, and I'm going to gain 5. I'm going to deal 10 damage to somebody. You know what? I'll do 10 damage to you. Kaboosh, because it's in 2s, so I can't not do the last one. So there you go. You're done. Kaboom. Then I'm going to make another 5 Thopters, just so we know these are Summoning Sickness for the next combat phase. And then we're going to mill you 15 cards, and I get to draw a card for each land. Wow, only 3 lands in all of that. So I get to draw 3 cards. I'm going to deal 1 damage to each opponent. It's another 5. And then I'm going to gain 10. I mean, I guess I could have stacked that so I gained more life, but come on, no reason to be super greedy. Okay, so that's all the upkeeps. So now we get another combat. I will swing these 6 Thopters in the air at you and Obeka at you. This was until end of turn, so she still gets that, and this was till end of turn, so she's still hitting for 5. You are going to take 5. We'll just go ahead and go. Once these other things trigger, you're dead. Doesn't have to worry about the commander damage. How many flyers? You don't have any flyers up. You have 1, so that will kill that. Those are on the ground. That's on the ground. So you're going to take another 5. I don't know that it's going to win, but it's going to be some. So now everything happens again. We get another 5 over here, up to 6 of those. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I didn't even gain the life off of all the cards in my hand, did I? Well, that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 times 5. So we're just going to say it even 50. Can it go up to 100? It does, yay. Yeah, because I forgot about Vesner's Journal. Then each opponent's going to lose 5 life. Yep, you're done. Boom. And then I'm going to gain another 5. And this is going to deal 2 damage 10 times. Yeah, so you're dead. Like, we don't even make it. Boom. Look at that. Holy heck. And that doesn't even count this damage going in. Another 5 Thopters, so 10 over here. We would have milled you and stuff. Holy crap. And I had 2 good new upkeep things. That is amazing. Yeah, I mean, I knew Obeka was good from all kinds of different stuff I've seen and heard about people getting excited for the card before it even came out. Obviously, in a real game, I don't see any of this happening. I'm going to be honest. I mean, seriously, Obeka's going to get bounced and blown up so many times. Not even, I was bouncing to the hand, which wasn't really hurting me, especially with the rings. People would be blowing her up, so she'd be getting commander attacks. And there's no way someone would have let the rings go off. Maybe one time, and then they would have blown up the original ring, so I couldn't keep doing it. I'll have to look that up to make sure that you can actually keep doing it, but there's nothing on the verbiage that makes it say you can't. You don't sacrifice it when you remove the 8 counters, and it doesn't say once per game. Like, it doesn't say you only get to do that once. So the only thing that could have affected this game was that combat step, as to whether or not maybe I got the extra combat, but not the extra upkeeps. You know, maybe the combat would have negated that first 5 because it would have went straight into the combat, and I only would have gotten the second 5. I really don't know. It's very tricky with the wording on stuff like that. But there you go. Obeka is your winner of the first game. Kind of expected that a little bit, but that was really fun. Honestly, all the decks except for Vihan did very well. Soldiers did great, and it has done well in other testings with actual live players. This did really well. Obviously, that was because of the mill, so that got those 2 creatures bigger than they normally would have been, but it was doing what I wanted it to do. It was dealing damage and making tokens. I just need to work on the card draw a little bit so that it can pump those, do more of it. I need to get to the instants and sorceries. And to be fair, there's not a ton because I have a lot of creatures in this deck. So it's a little off because I think it's like creatures, draw spells, and then other instants and sorceries, so it's not like it's a typical burn deck with blue splashed in for counters and stuff that most people would do. But I like it. I like what it did. We'll see how it goes the next 2 games. I hope you had fun watching. I hope you saw some cool cards, and I will see you next time.